This is James Corbett of CorbettReport.com, and I'd like to welcome you to a new episode of a completely new news update series that I'm doing with my good friend and the host and webmaster of MediaMonarchy.com, James Evan Pilato. James, it's great to have you on the program today.
Thanks a lot, man. I've looked forward to doing this.
Yeah, me too. Well, we're going to be covering a lot of stuff in this in these news updates, and I know a lot of news junkies out there, and I'm one of them, but of all the news junkies I've ever known, you seem to be the biggest news junkie, which is saying a lot. So I'm looking forward to covering a lot of stories with you in this series. So let's start. What are you covering on MediaMonarchy.com this week?
For the last week, and perhaps even the last couple of days, some of the main stories that have kind of popped for me and some of the things that I like to bring up with folks just in my regular daily life as mild-mannered grocery boy. These are the stories I think that really hit for me first from Raw Story, but from around the world and originally sourced, I believe, to The Telegraph. Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad was born a Jew. Reading from the Raw Story report, in a stunning report published last Saturday, and that would be October 3rd, a British newspaper claimed to have uncovered proof that Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, notorious among the international community for denying the Holocaust, was himself actually born a Jew. According to The Telegraph, a high-resolution photograph of Ahmadinejad holding up his Iranian identity card, taken just before the 2008 election, reveals that his family changed its name shortly after he was born, renouncing their Jewish faith and adopting Islam. Quote, a close-up of the document reveals he was previously known as Saborgian. That's Sabourjian, Saborgian, a Jewish name meaning cloth weaver. That's from The Telegraph. The name is even on the list of reserved names for Iranian Jews compiled by Iran's Ministry of the Interior, and that source goes to Israeli publication Ynet News. We, of course, know, and we close out this quick clip from Raw Story, at the annual Quds Day rally in Tehran last month, the Iranian president reiterated his denial of the Holocaust and blasted the Israeli government.
Absolutely, and that's a story that I think I first picked up on from MediaMonarchy.com. So I haven't seen any of the reaction coming from Iran to this story. I don't know if there has been any. Have you seen anything in the press about maybe Ahmadinejad commenting on this story?
I have virtually seen nothing in the press, and again, just kind of mentioning it to people. They haven't seemed to have heard anything about it. However, they've all, of course, heard all the recent resurge and the fear-mongering about Iran and what they may have and what they may be trying to do. But personally, I asked someone, are you more afraid of what Iran may or may be doing? Are you afraid of what could happen and what is happening in your own community? I think that's the fundamental question. Are you more afraid of these supposed missiles and these nuke sites and secrets and all of these kind of foreign governments? Or are we more concerned about something like we've seen in Hardin, Montana with the bizarre American police force story? That is more frightening to me, and I think most people out there would agree.
I certainly would too, yeah. And we can't let the corporate-controlled media tell us what to think on these issues. So, excellent. Well, let's move on to the next story. I understand that for the first time in, 14 years now, new footage has come out from CCTV cameras in Oklahoma City about the Oklahoma City bombing, but of course missing key passages of the tapes. Tell us about that story.
So, of course, wouldn't you know it, and these are the kind of things that, again, hit the average person that think, God, that can't be a coincidence. So, from the Associated Press, FBI releases doctored tapes of OKC bombing aftermath. Long secret security tapes showing the chaos immediately after the 1995 bombing of the Oklahoma City Federal Building are blank in the minutes before the blast and appear to have been edited, an attorney who obtained the recordings said. The real story is what's missing, said Jesse Trentadue, a Salt Lake City attorney who obtained the recordings through a FOIA request as part of his unofficial inquiry he's conducting into the April 19th, 1995 bombing that killed 168 people and injured hundreds more. Jesse Trinidad gave copies of the tapes to the Oklahoman newspaper, which posted them online, and also gave copies to the Associated Press. The interesting thing about the story is that this is not coming from, as it just said, any sort of official congressional or even, criminal investigation. It's coming from a guy named Jesse Trinidad, who, again, we don't have time to go into the story here. His brother, Kenny, was beaten to death in prison, and I believe it was in Oklahoma, because he looked like someone else who was connected to, like every big terror event, the bizarre web of players and places. So essentially, this Salt Lake City attorney, Jesse Trinidad, is still uncovering things about the Oklahoma City bombing because of his personal interest in why his brother was tortured and beaten to death in prison. So the personal is the political, I suppose, in this case.
Absolutely. Well, of course, a big event like that is going to nexus in with some people's personal lives, and eventually that will come back and hopefully expose some of the secrets that the system is hiding about this. And of course, it is just an amazing story when you think about all of those CCTV cameras that were pointed at the Murrah building and around the Murrah building on that morning. And finally, almost 15 years later, we're finally starting to get some of the CCTV footage. And of course, it's missing the key passages. It's just incredible. And if memory serves me correct, in your last episode of MediaMonarchy.com podcast, you had some clips from Oklahoma City local news from back in the 1990s about those tapes and what they may contain. Is that right?
There is a compilation clip that actually, I believe, originates from Alex Jones's seminal 9/11 documentary. I think we both have said that was the key thing I saw that really blew this all open for me. It's a compilation within 9/11, The Road to Tyranny, of Oklahoma City local news, and I can't source or cite exactly what they are, but the clip is there in this posting. FBI releases doctored tapes of OKC bombing aftermath.
Extra, FBI denies knowing anything about the doctored tapes. Yeah, okay. Well, taking that at face value, let's move right along to the final story I want to cover today. I understand that Project Censored has released their annual list of the top 25 most censored news stories of the last year. Tell us about this list and what are some of the key entries for you?
So, for 33 years, Sonoma State University's Project Censored essentially every year publishes top 25 stories of, or a top 25 list rather, of the most under or unreported stories. It's another amazing list, and for me, I went in and added a few pertinent links to things that I know I've covered in the last 6 to 12 months on MediaMonarchy.com. You've covered on Corbett Report. My friend Clyde Lewis covered on Ground Zero Lounge, and on and on. So a few of these that stick out to me on this amazing list of 25 from Project Censored. The first one on the list is U.S. Congress sells out to Wall Street. And we've all covered, and we saw it happen the same time this transition happened, where we got rid of the supposed conservative puppet and we've brought in the supposed liberal puppet. A massive heist was going on, and they both seemed to collude and all work together in such a way that it was a seamless transition from, Bush and the Halliburton boys into Obama and the Trilateral and the Goldman Sachs boys. So U.S. Congress sells out to Wall Street. The other one, or another one rather, toxic waste behind Somali pirates. Do you have comments on those first two?
I do. In fact, I have a lot of comments, but we're almost completely out of time. So why don't we just throw out the websites one more time so that people can take a look at this story on the site itself. Tell us about your 3 websites.
Well, it all started with MediaMonarchy.com, and it's grown into FoodWorldOrder.com and CyberspaceWar.com. So thank you so much.
Thank you.